right, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Relay Bitcoin podcast today with a very special guest out of our own team again. It's Benjamin Tamm who's with me today. Benjamin, thank you very much for taking the time. Really a big pleasure to have you. We have met around 1.5 years ago probably, and you've joined the team right afterwards, and you've done some amazing things already in the Relai app, Relai startup growth, and I would love to talk about kind of your journey, how you got into it, but mainly also our new offering that you're now building up, which is about Relai Private and Relai Business. But maybe you introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunity to share about my journey at Relai and, of course, Relai Private and Relai Business. So I joined at the end of 2021. So it was still, the early days. Let's say the team now has doubled, so it feels like it has been ages because there's so much happening, so much growth. So it has been a pleasure to be part of Relai for that time. And yeah, I started building up the support team. So when we started, we had no in-app chat, we had no real support. We had an email address where people could email us their IBAN and their order number, and we had to manually look everything up. So we brought a little bit of structure into that. We implemented the in-app chat. Now people can just text us in the app. It's much more convenient. And now we have a team of 6 people in total that are taking care of our clients, that are getting an answer to everyone fast. So that's built up. That's amazing. We also have our Telegram groups to engage with our community. And now I'm responsible and building up Relai Private, which is for customers that want to buy or sell Bitcoin for 100K per transaction, and for our new business offering. So for our Relai Business clients, we had such a high demand. So basically, we always build what our customers need, and we had a lot of businesses that wanted to invest, that wanted to buy Bitcoin, but we couldn't offer it. So now we have the license, we are building it up, and now we are here and happy to serve every business that wants to acquire Bitcoin.
That's exactly how we did it from the beginning, basically. Like, we just built something that we wanted and we thought the community wanted, just a very easy app to buy and sell and auto invest in Bitcoin, and also directly into self-custody, so that you can directly buy and you have it in your own wallet, and should be very easy, 1 minute onboarding, and something that you can refer to your friends, your family, whatever, people who are not very much like deep into Bitcoin yet, just something that is very easy and uncomplicated. We didn't find it, so we built it, and then from there on we built a community around it, and basically, as you said, it was always the feedback of the community, the asks, the wishes, the needs that they are communicating heavily to us, that basically decide on what we are building next. So this is, I think, the way to go for every kind of modern startup. This is kind of this build, measure, learn cycle. You build something, you release it, you see what the feedback on it is, and then on that you iterate, you build your next thing, and you release the next thing, and then you listen again to the users. And exactly as you said, that's how we got to the offering we have now, the features that we have in the app, but also the other OTC offerings that we will talk about later on. But maybe quickly, from your personal development, personal career, how did you get into doing support at a young Bitcoin fintech startup? Because you didn't really, you weren't trained or like working years in customer support before, right?
No, not really. So, it was Bitcoin Twitter and my love for Bitcoin, obviously, that brought me then to Relai. So I saw the job ad on Twitter. And basically, I did a lot of different jobs before. I studied in Australia, a leadership course, and I worked for a travel agency that was specialized in personalizing trips to Australia and New Zealand. So really white glove service. We visit customers at home. We really did their dream holidays and was really listening to the customer, meeting their needs and really being there and offering that service. So after that, I joined another startup that was also, and I did customer success, which is also just listening to clients and really enable them to understand the product and understand what they're doing with, that was a software company. So I was always in different industries where it was always service oriented. It was always about the customer. It was always very personal. And when I saw the support role, I was like, I have no idea what it is. I have no idea how an app is engaging them with the customers. And back then, when I downloaded the app, there was no support chat or anything. So I was like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. At the end, it's about people. It's about Bitcoin. It's about helping people to buy Bitcoin. So I just applied anyway to see what's up and how I can help. And that's how I got started. Exactly.
Yeah, and we basically then, still up to now, but still then as well, we didn't hire for skills, or we didn't hire for the perfect CV or something. We hired for the personality, and you just really demonstrated this, can-do mentality. You want to build things, you want to help, start things and grow and develop a startup. You also have some entrepreneurial background, which I found fascinating, and you have this drive. You really want to get things to the next level. Which you then also demonstrated once you started. So maybe walk us through a little bit. So when you started, and we basically had one support email address, it was support@relai.ch, probably back then, or
yeah, it was just yes.
And now that we have a team of 5 or 6 people and an in-app chat, an intercom, a whole support system with a response time of below 1 hour, 24/7 support. It's fucking amazing what you have built within a year or so. Walk us through a little bit this process.
I think it's exactly what you say. You don't necessarily always hire for skills. You need to have the basics covered, right? That you know that person's capable also of working in a fast growing and moving startup. So that's always one thing that you need to hire for, people that are okay to go above and beyond, go the extra mile, and really do extraordinary things, and are available and just want to do things. And you just there, and that's one thing also that inspires me from you always, to just never give up, to say there must be a way. If there's a no, it's okay. We find another way where I say yes, we're gonna go forward and we're gonna make it happen. So I think that is one attitude that you just look for, someone who wants to get things done and wants to make things happen, because you will always find roadblocks, you will always find reasons why it's not going to work, and we encountered plenty of those, but it's always about how you approach those obstacles and how you overcome them at the end. And as you said, the other entrepreneurial thing that I was doing, like apart from just looking for passive income through like different Amazon FBAs, with different type of things, during the Corona pandemic, with some friends, we started a business which was basically reaching for different organizations. It's about reaching out to their users, to their customers, and just get feedback from them. So it was like online tools and surveys in order to keep engaged during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. So it was also about seeing a need in a certain organization and building something for them. So it's the same now. We have the need of customers have questions. Customers want education. Customers want to know how is that app working? What's happening with my order? So every Bitcoin app that's out there works slightly different. So people are not used to how things work. So for us, is you create an order, you tell us from where you send the money and the amount, and then you send it. Some people don't create an order, they just send money and are wondering, hey, where's my transaction? So there are a lot of questions about it. So the need of an in-app chat that people can reach us immediately, or that they can get an answer and they can do it with the convenience inside the app, was obvious. No one wants to get outside the application, open an email, type it in, copy paste everything. So that are just normal developments where you're like, you don't have it, but what could it be? How could you make it more convenient? How can you make it easier? How can you deliver more value? And that's basically the same in support. Put yourself into a newbie, into someone who never had engagement with Bitcoin, who doesn't know how things work. It's not the traditional finance way. You can't, so it's basically putting yourself into someone else's shoe and walk the journey through and with them. And that's what we did in support. And we said, that's what we should implement. That's how it should look like. And it's also the constant feedback in support that we get from our customers to mirror it back to product, to the development guys, in order to really deliver that product that is what we want, right? Self-custody, easy to use, fast, reliant, efficient. So basically in support, that's how we did it. We worked together with the product team. We looked at, hey, that is the feedback we get from users. That's what they're asking for. That are the issues they encounter. How can we resolve them? And basically the in-app chat right now is for us the best communication tools with our users. If you have an open order, it's one button. report an issue, send us a message, you have a question, and you reach someone from the team that hopefully replies within a short amount of time and looks after your order, after your inquiry. And now we're there.
And you did this. You did all this yourself first, and then you have helped build the structures and processes. Standardizing, automating a lot, building the support articles, the education materials around everything, so that people. And also improving the product so that people have less issues with using the app, and those who have still issues are able to help themselves or get in touch and get good answers that they need fast. So you build this all up, and then you build a team around it so that you don't have to take care of it anymore, but the people are now taking care of it, because it's now also easier than when you started. It was basically nothing was there, right? And now you've built the tools and the materials so that other people can, even part-time people and changing people can take care of it. And then your next step, you told me a couple of months ago, and when we were in Berlin with the whole team at the Relai Summit, you told me, Julian, I want my next perspective, or my next role, which is in Relai Private. Why were you motivated to kind of go this next step?
Hey, this is Anna from Relai. I want to tell you why Relai is the best place to buy Bitcoin in Europe. Relai is newbie friendly. You download the app for Android or iOS and can buy or sell Bitcoin within 1 minute. Our app comes with a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet, so you always hold your own private keys, which means your Bitcoin are really yours. We also offer instant payment options, including Visa, MasterCard and Apple Pay. Relai is used by over 40,000 Bitcoin investors all over Europe. Click the link in the description or head over to relai.app to get started now.
That's also a great question. And I think one thing that's important is to keep in mind what kind of product you want to deliver. So we got a lot of companies that approached us and said, hey, automate everything, do a bot, like people just type in a word, they get their answer immediately, you don't need to be there personally anymore. And that's an interesting approach as well, and it works for maybe different businesses and different companies. For us, the measurement is between automizing what can be automized and help users to help themselves, but also still be there personally. So we need to create, resources and educational content for our users, but we also need to be there. We can't just, have a bot that just, you need to answer 5 questions before you get onto a line where you need to wait for days and then you get an answer. So that was always a focus when we built the support. Now it's built up, and then what you mentioned now in Berlin when I approached you, the need was there. We had a waiting list of business customers who said, I want to buy with my business account, but we were not able to facilitate that. We had, before when I started, we had the limit of 1,000 Swiss franc per 24 hours, and we couldn't raise it. We didn't have the possibility to verify customers to allow them to buy higher amounts. So someone who said, I don't know, I got an inheritance, or I sold my house, I want to buy more Bitcoin, we had to say, we can't offer you that service. We can't give you more Bitcoin. And that's obviously an answer that you never want to give. So we always want to say, yes, we can do it. Yes, we take your fiat and we give you the Bitcoin that you need. So that's then how that got built up. And previously by a colleague from Dominic who built that for 6 months, and he finished his studies and he moved on and he's traveling the world, which is also amazing. But my focus was always like, that is a very interesting field. I would like that next step because it's a personalized service. I'm talking one-on-one with users again. I help them through the legal loopholes with companies, how to set it up. I advise them, and that's really something that I strive in, that I love, and I think where I just perform the best.
Mm-hmm. So what are the differences between kind of the retail customers that invest maybe $50, $100 in a weekly DCA auto invest plan, or kind of use the app as it's intended for retail customers for small amounts, But what are the differences to the bigger customers that come to us and say, and that are Relai private customers, sometimes high net worth individuals or just people that got a bit of fiat money and say, look, I want to buy 100K, 500K or 1 million in Bitcoin. Obviously, the processes and everything is very different. What are maybe the key differences in terms of how you onboard these people and what their biggest challenges are?
I think Relai is really about orange pilling your friends and family, right? So we have a lot of amazing plebs that are using our app, that are sharing their referral code, that are onboarding friends and family. They explain to them, what is Bitcoin? How does it work? How does Relai work? How can you buy Bitcoin easily? When we have then our Relai private clients, they have way more questions, and we help them to understand the legal loopholes, what needs to be done, how can you buy them, but also how can you safely store them. For most of our users, the app is amazing, self-custody, you get your own wallet, we get you a solid setup on acquiring Bitcoin, on storing them. But if you have different volumes, you have different needs. So here it's about education, about the resources, about really helping them setting up a wallet, a hardware wallet, walking them through the process. How can you store your Bitcoin really safely, over several years and decades? So I think that's the difference. Our users, our plebs, are doing an amazing job at explaining Bitcoin and Relai to their friends and family. When we get to the Relai business and private clients, we have a different setup, we have different volumes, we have different needs, and they need to be addressed in a more personal way. We really take time and book calls with them to really walk them through to ensure that they have the best setup possible to store their Bitcoin for long periods of time.
And they probably, I could imagine, have other questions around how do I store them, how many do I buy, when do I buy? If you buy for $100 a couple of sats, it's different than if you buy for 1 or 2 million. You probably want to split the order, the buy order into different, for a couple of weeks even, into different chunks. You buy 100K here, 200K here, depending on the price. And you just want more advice. And then once you have it, like, how do I store it? Is there a multi-sig solution? Should I give it to my bank? Should I use a custodial, or should I use it myself? Should I maybe partly store it myself, or should I? How much should I store myself, and how much should I give to maybe a custodial? Then the topic about taxation is probably like, how do I tax? And it's usually pretty easy to do, but it's easy to just give your tax authority the necessary information, but you need to do it. And a lot of people don't know how, because they just think, with Bitcoin everything's super complicated. So you probably also help them on that. And then the heritage question is always like, this is the last part of the journey, because Bitcoin is generational wealth, right? It's savings technology that you want to pass on. You ideally want to hodl forever, and then you want to pass it on to your kids and to your loved ones. And so how do I do that? Where do you get the most questions, and what is your advice on these topics?
That's a great question. And I think what really sets Relai Private apart is also our network. So we have a team, everyone at Relai is, into Bitcoin. We are maxis. We know what we're talking about. We all spend hours and hours and months to study Bitcoin, to understand what it is and to explain it really well now and help people. But I think when it comes to those specific questions for Relai private clients or business clients, when they have question about a specific taxation for a certain company setup, we are not the experts anymore, but we know the experts, and we have a great network of consultants, of people that can really help businesses with all their specific question in a professional kind of way. So here it's a lot of time. We filter out what is the need, how can we serve our customers best, and then just send them to the best addresses in all the countries where they come from, where they can really help them with the legal setup, with the taxation, and all of the detailed question that they might have. So that network is really, really important and valuable for our clients as well. You mentioned a lot of our clients, the people that have the most money to spend on Bitcoin, are usually older folks. So they are thinking about how can I pass on my Bitcoin to my children? So how can I store them safely, but also what do I need to be aware of when I pass them on, right? And there, of course, we have a great network. We have Mark Steiner, who wrote an amazing book about that topic. So there are resources, and it's about knowing the right people, knowing the right resources, and then provide that information to our customers as well, and really help them get educated themselves and understand what needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely. So you mentioned we are kind of the Bitcoin partner where it all starts. Whenever someone wants to buy or sell Bitcoin, they can start with us and they can basically do their whole transaction with us. Is there sometimes also the need to actually explain just Bitcoin? Like, why are people already into Bitcoin, and do they already understand everything, and they just come to you, Benjamin, look, I want to buy $500,000 worth of Bitcoin, or do they need to do you offer them more education? Like, do they need to learn stuff? Do they have questions about like Bitcoin itself?
Yeah, a lot of times the clients, and that's funny because that's how Bitcoin works, I guess, as well. It's for the older generation, for our parents and grandparents, the children or the grandchildren educate them on Bitcoin now. They say, hey, look, there's a new technology, there's a new way of transferring wealth, of storing wealth and purchasing power, so you should check it out. Most of our Relai private clients start with the app in order to get a feel on how does it work, how does it feel now to have Bitcoin, and they do their first Bitcoin transaction as well. They might buy a little bit in the app, send it, to their Bitbox, onto a hardware wallet, and then they have bigger amounts. And then they have the questions of, okay, what do I need to be aware of when I do that now, when I do bigger transactions? And that's where we really come in and really consult them and really help them. And we also send our private clients and then a Bitbox, to really help them store that wealth for long periods of time. But most of the time, it's from children or grandchildren that educate their family members about Bitcoin and then want them to, they want their inheritance in Bitcoin, basically. So that's what we are here for as well, to help the grandchildren get their inheritance in Bitcoin. And that's where they have a lot of questions, and that's where we educate them. But they get pointed to Bitcoin and to Relai by family members, by younger family members. And then, basically, we do the rest for them and help them really store Bitcoin in a safe and secure ways for decades. Yeah.
Interesting. So is that the main way how high net worth individuals, or basically Relai private customers, find out about us? Is it through the app, or is it like direct marketing, I don't know, Google ads or social media advertising or whatever, everything we do, or through influencers? Like how do people find out about Relai Private?
I think when it comes to Bitcoin and to acquiring Bitcoin, trust is essential, right? Bitcoin doesn't need trust, but to go through an intermediate and send money there, that requires trust. So Relai has a great, we have a track record. We are based in Switzerland. We are regulated. We fulfill all the requirement to be a trustworthy partner when it comes to the buy and sell of Bitcoin. So we have good media coverage that always helps. People still trust the media. So that's, however you want to go about that. But if you have articles in the press, it helps that people get to know you and people instantly trust you. So people are keen to just try the app and, put the first 100 or 1,000 euro or francs to test. And that's how they test us, how they test Relai, how they test Bitcoin. And then they go ahead and say, okay, I actually have a bit more money. Can I get Bitcoin for that as well? But mostly it's a step-by-step process. And I think that's how we all go about it. I think our first purchase usually is the smallest amount possible. You try, is it really working? Is my address right? Does everything, get where it should go? And that's basically how the clients do that as well. They start in the app. They hear about us. Mostly, really, it is through friends and families. So I think that grassroots movement is really important, to talk with friends and family and with anyone you can, basically, about Bitcoin. And that's how they get to know about Bitcoin, how they learn and how they test it. And influencers, of course, play a big part of that, because influencers build trust as well. They have a credible platform. They know what they're talking about. They are trustworthy. Most of them, or that's how they get perceived. And then if they say, okay, go ahead and try it, then people are more prone to download the app and just give it a go.
Now, there is obviously competition for us in that regard, right? So if I am a high net worth individual and I find out about Bitcoin and I want to buy Bitcoin, I probably do some research and I find different ways. I mean, I could just go to, let's say, Coinbase or Binance or Bitpanda or Kraken, like one of these big exchanges that are obviously not Bitcoin only. They are not non-custodial. They are not based in Switzerland. They don't have this super easy onboarding like we have. So there are differences, but you could just go to Bitpanda and use their kind of OTC, whatever. These big companies all have an OTC desk as well that is specialized for these kind of private customers, this high net worth clientele. So why do we get so many customers right now? Like why are people deciding to go with us instead of one of the big ones, for example?
There are several reasons for that, but Relai really sets itself apart by the personalized service. So you can go onto our website, relai.app, you can go and book an appointment and just have someone explain to you Bitcoin tomorrow, right? So you set up that appointment whenever it suits you, you have the calendar booking link, and you can just gather information. You don't get that with the bigger player because they don't have time for that, right? They don't want to take the time. Plus, the people that are working there are most likely not as educated about Bitcoin and Bitcoin only as we are. So that service, that educational part and really just the help that you get at Relai is something unique that you don't encounter anywhere else. Because we are small and efficient, we have a big team that works on our OTC deals. We have a legal and compliance side, and it everything needs to be reviewed. But basically, with us, you book an appointment. If all the documents are there within 24 hours, you can buy Bitcoin with your company or as a private individual above 100,000 Swiss franc. So that's something that none of the bigger companies can offer. So it's about the efficiency, it's about the speed, it's about the education, and it's about the personalized service that you get at Relai that really sets us apart.
And why we can offer this is probably also important to understand. It's just, and that's one of our biggest strengths as a team, I think, and as a startup, is that we always kept our focus. Like we are just laser focused on the tasks that on our vision and mission, which is to bring some Bitcoin into everyone's pocket. Like really, just it's about bringing Bitcoin to as many people as possible. That it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And so we do everything for that, and have a laser focus. That's also why we don't have hundreds of coins, tokens, whatever. We don't have any NFTs. We're not losing focus. We just want to bring Bitcoin to the people and companies in the most efficient, quickest way possible, and make our users and our clients happy. And so that's why we can do it. It sounds super easy, but none of the other companies do that. They all lose focus very fast. They might have hundreds, even thousands of employees. We have 20, but they also do hundreds and thousands of things. We just do basically one thing, but we do that very, very well. I think that's
exactly
for the success so far. Yeah.
And there are a lot of questions that come with that, right? So you don't just want to be a number. If you have a business and you want to invest, several 100,000 K, or you sold a house and you want to invest that money, you don't just want to be a number at someone else's, business. You want to know that you are listened to. You want to know that your needs are met and that you get the best service that's out there. And that's definitely with us, no doubt about that.
It's the private banking aspect of it. And even though it's not Bitcoin and it's not banking anymore, it's Bitcoin now. It's maybe private Bitcoining, how we could call it. But it's in the end, it's about large amounts of money. Then people all of a sudden don't care about who is exactly the cheapest anymore, and where is it maybe technically the best solution, whatever. All of a sudden, the only thing they really care about is trust and relationship again, and that doesn't change just because we're going from a fiat-based financial system to a Bitcoin-based financial system. This service that these high net worth individuals require is still the same, and that's something where we, as a Swiss company, obviously excel. Like Switzerland has always been the leader in wealth, in private banking and wealth management, and we, I think, incorporate these values of excellent, customer relationship management, high quality standards, regulatory, legal and compliance at the top level. And this is exactly what is important to these kind of customers that are Relai Private customers, right?
100%. And
Nice.
we need to keep the big picture in mind. We are still very early. Bitcoin is still very early, and that people that made their money in the fiat world, that over the last decades, through real estate or different investment strategies, now they wake up to Bitcoin. But it's a new technology for them, and it's revolutionary. So that's why they still need a trusted partner, and Switzerland is the place to go for if you want to, store or trade large amounts of money. And we are here to serve them, to facilitate that. And exactly as you said, it's like the service, the questions that are there, especially because it's new technology, we are here to help them, to answer them. We give out, our phone numbers so they can reach us, they can call us at any time, and it's really someone will pick up and answer all their questions. So I think that's what our clients really, really appreciate.
So Relai Private, we are now doing for a bit more than a year already, and it caught on quickly, and we're growing this, and we have a bigger, like every week we get new clients, and we have a bigger portfolio, which is great. And now, very recently, it's actually beginning of this year, we announced Relai Business as well. So can you talk a bit more about why we launched that, and why you also wanted to be in charge of that as well? And maybe what the kind of needs and challenges are for companies that want to buy Bitcoin.
That's great. Yeah, of course. So Relai Business, we got last year a lot of payments from bank accounts that belong to companies. So basically, the owner is a Bitcoiner. He invests privately, and now he wants to use the company money to acquire Bitcoin, which we weren't allowed to accept because we didn't have the proper licenses. Because we got so many inquiries, we actually started looking into, okay, what would it take, the investment to get the license, to get the legal setup in order to facilitate the Bitcoin purchase for companies? Because from a logical point, if you think about it, it just makes sense to buy Bitcoin as a business. Not everyone needs to go in like Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy all in, right? There will be a few that will reap the reward in the future. But also every small and medium-sized business, every family-run business can buy a little bit of Bitcoin. You can put 10% of your revenue into Bitcoin, and just see what it does over the course of the next couple of years. So especially during Corona, we got an increase of businesses that said, we need to find a different store of value for our savings, for our money, for our company capital, because just to have it in the bank doesn't make sense. And most of our customers are small and medium-sized businesses, and they don't want to invest the time and resources to really dig into what is the best investment strategy for our company capital, where should we invest, what stocks and whatnot. They have a business to run, and that's what they focus on. And what they want to do, all they want to do is just protect their purchasing power, protect their savings, protect their company capital. And now they say, money that we don't need, let's put it in Bitcoin, because it's the best store of value that's currently out there, and it will be for the next forever, basically. So that's why we looked at it, we got the inquiries, we got the demand, and then we said, okay, let's go for it. And we made it happen. Our legal team did an amazing job. We got all the licenses that we need, and now we can facilitate the Bitcoin purchase for any small and medium-sized company. And it's very fast and efficient, basically. It's very different because in different countries and there are a lot of legal setups when it comes to businesses and business structures. But basically, we just look at it, we say, okay, let's focus. What do we need? What do we need from a regulatory point of view? And then we just get it done. And usually it also just takes maybe a day, maybe 2 days, if all the documents are there, and businesses have their documents usually in order, more than some, So it's all done, and we can just facilitate that. And we have a lot of different businesses. We have the businesses that say, hey, we sit on a lot of cash reserves. We want to put them all in at once, and we just want to convert them. We want to get rid of our euro, Swiss franc. We just want to have Bitcoin. We also have companies that say on a monthly basis from the money that we make, we just want to, as much as we can, put into Bitcoin. So we need maybe 50, 60% for business operation, but the 40% we're going to put into Bitcoin on a monthly basis. So there are all sorts of different setups. We also have companies, and that's, I think, is really interesting, that need their Bitcoin in order to do international payments. So, we have companies that are based in Europe, that are based in Switzerland, and they have issues facilitating payments all over the world for the different service provider. And they come to us, they say, can you help us buy Bitcoin because we need them as a means of payment, which is amazing. We have other businesses, and some businesses require to have, a certain amount of capital, but that capital, depending on the legal setup, can also be held in Bitcoin. So that's where it gets interesting, because instead of having some capital just laying around there for years and years at a time, losing value every year, they're going to put it into Bitcoin, let it sit there in Bitcoin, and see the purchasing power grow. So Bitcoin offers great solutions for a lot of different businesses, and we are here to make it happen for them.
So you say a lot of different businesses. What kind of businesses are they? Are they small businesses, big businesses? What industries are they? Are they founder-led businesses mainly, or are they kind of conglomerates? Where do you see the demand coming from mainly? Or what kind of, maybe also funny businesses that people would not expect to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah. So what happens is, as a business, if you are a big business, it's harder. You need a lot of different approvals, board meetings, and all of that. So our target audience and target clients are small and medium-sized businesses, mostly family-run or founder-run, so they can make a decision fast. They can execute fast. They make a decision, they educate themselves about Bitcoin, they have some more questions, they come to us and say, okay, we want to do it. Okay, usually it's just one CEO who can sign everything off, or the family, maybe it's a setup of 2 or 3 founders or CEOs, and that's the max. So that is what we are dealing with at the moment, because they can execute fast, they make a decision, they go ahead and buy it and then store it. What kind of businesses? It's really, we have a lot of, handyman companies, like anything that has to do with roofing, plumbers, all of that, because those people understand, I don't know why, but those Bitcoiners, they have a conviction, I love to work with them because they really understand how the money printing is affecting their businesses, how the inflation is really affecting their line of work. So they come to us and really want to do that. We also have architects, bigger offices that operate on an international level. We have real estate companies. So it really goes from big to small, family-run, founder-led. There's everything there, because Bitcoin is at the end for everyone, and Bitcoin is for every business. So that's why, it's a big variety of customers that we have with Relai Business.
Yeah, it's a huge trend, I think, because obviously, if you agree that Bitcoin is growing and is distributing all over the world, and network effect is doing its thing, and more people are getting into it, and then you look at, okay, why should only individuals invest in Bitcoin? Because for the same reasons, or maybe even more important, it is for companies to save their treasuries, their cash balances from the inflation, right? And save it on the long run in something that holds or even gains purchasing power instead of being inflated away. And then you see how many SMEs there are in Europe. There are actually 25 million SMEs only in Europe, and a growing number of them are led by Bitcoiners. And these are exactly the people that feel the inflation most. But at the same time, I think it's really difficult today to buy Bitcoin as an SME. I think we're basically the only ones that really make it easy right now, because it's really a niche or a market segment that is overlooked so far. So there are a lot of service providers that are focusing on retail investors, individuals, maybe small or big individuals, and then also for big companies, I think there is like Bitcoin Swiss, for example, and all these kind of big ones. They are focusing on, if you're a really big company and you take the time and the effort and the money to onboard with them for half a year, then yes, that's fine. But the 25 million SMEs is really a sector that is overlooked, right? Would you agree to that? Is there any alternative even for them?
Definitely, it's really difficult, and for with Relai Business. And most of the time, they go through the website, relai.at, and book an appointment, because they have a lot of questions. Because they also think, oh my gosh, it must be super complicated. The onboarding will take months, and all the paperwork that's required, it will be a lot of effort. They book that appointment and they just find out, hey, it's actually super simple. We can do it within one day. Like, I just sent you a list with the documents, and we can set you up, and you can buy Bitcoin by tomorrow. And they are blown away by, like, wow, I didn't thought that it's that easy, because the service is not out there. It seems like it's not there because it's complicated or it's not possible. But it actually, for us with our license, it's definitely possible. It's fast, it's easy, it's efficient, it's there for everyone. So business owners are really surprised on how easy it actually is to just buy Bitcoin and hold them and have them. It's amazing.
Do they want to hold it themselves, or are business customers maybe more inclined to have a custodian or whatever? Like, is this a question that comes up, and is this maybe even a USP that we enable them to hold the Bitcoin themselves as well as a company?
It is always a question, and some business owner that did a little bit of research already on what is possible and what not, they usually encounter the big exchanges where they have a risk or different risks that they don't want to expose themselves to. So they really appreciate our approach of self-custody. A lot of businesses do have questions on what's the best way, what's the best setup, what is your experience, how do other companies do it, because it's still kind of new. So if there are any questions, we can give them all the resources they need to find the best decision for their business. We even help them, we recommend a lot of times the Bitbox, our partner from Switzerland, Shift Crypto, where they can set up easily a multi-sig wallet. So it's not that only one person has the access, but you need several people to confirm a transaction. No one can move the funds without permission. So it's like, okay, you distribute the responsibility through different people, through multi-sig. So that are options that not a lot of people know about, that is even possible. They think, okay, now I'm the only one with a private key, so what do I do now? I don't want to be responsible. What if I die tomorrow? What about the company funds? So there we really help them to answer all of those questions and find the best setup for their individual company needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's especially interesting, I think, to buy even a little bit of Bitcoin, like even put 10% or 20% of your company treasury into Bitcoin. I believe not everyone is going all in, and I also don't think that would make a lot of sense, also because it's still volatile. Let's be honest, Bitcoin is still volatile. But on the long run, fiat money is just devaluing. European SMEs, they see themselves now with a stack of money that they have on their balance sheet, and they see it, 10% of the value at least. Like, this is the official rate. The unofficial one is actually higher. 10% or more of their value is just melting away every year. And what could they do? They could buy gold, maybe. I don't know if that would obviously be like a physical deal. It would be more, to store it and everything would be harder. You can buy probably real estate, but they're the same problem. You can buy stocks or ETFs, but then that probably counts as an investment, not saving or just holding money. But that would be an investment, which is probably taxed differently, and that's where it gets complicated as a company to buy Bitcoin. To buy stocks, I mean. But just to buy Bitcoin is almost as easy as buying another currency. Like if a Swiss company would buy euro, it's super easy. And you might as well just buy Bitcoin to save yourself from the long-term inflation. And these entrepreneurs leading their companies, they see on the day-to-day what inflation and the falling financial system is doing to their business, to their lives. That's why leaders of companies, entrepreneurs, could even be more open to the idea of Bitcoin than just normal employees.
Of course. And when we talked about the self-custody before, they like to be responsible for their Bitcoin. They like to have the full control. They don't need permission from anyone now to move those Bitcoin around the world. They can easily do it. And a big benefit of ours that we get, as feedback from our private clients and businesses is that we have a Swiss bank account. Because a lot of times, if you have big transactions, several hundred thousands of euros or Swiss francs floating around, banks flag it, they review it, they do a lot of process around it. Sometimes it gets stuck for a week. when they send the money or when they get it out. That's what they experience is sometimes with other services. So we have trusted partners, trusting banking partners also in Switzerland, which make the transaction really easy and really trustworthy. So they always, or 99% of the times, they go through flawlessly. And that is really also a great feedback from our client, that they really appreciate that our banks have a great reputation as well, and that they can facilitate those kind of purchases easily.
Yeah, exactly. That's another.
And then to hold the Bitcoin themselves as a company makes the most sense. It always depends on the business, but we have clients that say they have issues with banks sometimes with certain transaction, or they need to go. It's a lot of maintenance basically, with their bank and with all the documents that they need to provide there. And once they have their own Bitcoin set up, for them it's what Bitcoin is all about. Making the transfer of value basically super easy and simple and possible for everyone without any restriction worldwide. So that they love to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and this definitely a trend that will keep going the next decades, I'm sure. So last question, if you have ever listened to one of my podcasts, Relai Bitcoin podcast, and you know what's coming now?
I've listened to a few, yes.
So you as a person, you as an individual, how much of your wealth is allocated to Bitcoin?
That's a fantastic question. Well, starting 2017, slowly but gradually, it became now 90% of our net worth. So our family, from my wife and my kids, that's on the way. So that's our net value. That's all in Bitcoin. Because for me, same as for the private and business client, it doesn't make any sense to hold euros in my bank account. It doesn't make any sense. So we have cash with us for a couple of months in order, to have always liquidity there, to pay our bills that are still being paid in euro. But the rest, anything that has to do, we sold basically all the other investments, anything that we had, just to be all into Bitcoin, because that's for me the only thing that makes sense.
You're almost the second Bitcoin family.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
On a Bitcoin standard.
For sure. Well, not yet on a standard, because depending, like we also travel around quite a bit, so to pay everything in Bitcoin is still quite hard and stuff. But so I'm okay to use fiat and to use euro for my normal transaction. That's fine. But definitely anything that has to do with saving or keeping my purchasing power, anything that I get immediately, I convert it into Bitcoin. Yeah.
Same, makes sense. Thank you, Benjamin, for taking the time. This was super interesting, and have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, mate. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.